Hey people, and welcome to my living room. So it's been a while since I've last seen you, and this past weekend in Osaka was the Rainbow Parade, which is basically like Pride. And I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about how it is dating as a Hapa person, but from a queer perspective. So some of our other moderators have already touched on this topic, and while I do think that there are genuine people who like others for who that person really is, there are still other people who like others for less than ideal reasons. Some of these reasons can include having Asian fetish, having white fetish, having a Hapa fetish. And all of this is dependent on how others perceive both your race and your gender. I'll leave it up to someone else to explain some of the things that can be associated with being perceived as an Asian woman or as an Asian man. So I wanted to keep this video focused on how it is being someone who is both queer and Hapa. Just a little background information for those of you who don't remember me. I'm 23 years old, currently living in Japan. I grew up in Hong Kong and I went to college in California. So, laying out on the table, I've had 4 boyfriends and 1 girlfriend. Personally, while I do identify as Hapa and being as mixed race, I still feel like in most places I've been perceived as being more Asian. I'll leave it up to some of our female moderators to describe some of the things that are associated with being an Asian woman and all those media stereotypes that sometimes affect Asian women. Lotus Blossom, China Doll, Dragon Lady, all that. I wanted to keep this video focused on being a queer identifying male who is also Hapa. Okay, starting with the queer community, at least within the US, you have a lot of different mixes of races, and there's so many different terms for people depending on if they have a racial preference for who they date. Okay, there's a lot of problematic terms like yellow fever and jungle fever, and then there's the more Asian-specific ones within the queer community. You'll have terms like rice queen for someone who is interested in Asian people when they are not Asian themselves. You'll have potato queen, which is an Asian person that is only interested in white men. And then you'll have things like sticky rice, where it's someone that is Asian who is only interested in other Asian men. Being a mixed race person, everyone has their own experience of dealing with these terms and whether they choose to utilize them to express their interests. So before in college, I did sort of align myself with being sticky rice in that I'm mostly attracted to Asian people. This becomes interesting for someone that is Hapa because, yes, you are Asian, you are also white, so it becomes a question of whether you should use the term sticky rice or that you are a rice queen if you're interested in Asian people. I'm not even going to go into the issues of using the term fever along with some sort of ethnic marker, making it sound like being attracted to anything that isn't white is a sickness. And then you have other things like potato queen, rice queen, sticky rice, this whole sort of idea of like consuming the ethnic thing, or like people of different races or things to be indulged or like gorged on, sort of lowering people to food items. Within the US, I do feel that others perceive me more as Asian rather than acknowledging my whiteness. And because of this, within the queer community, I do get a lot of the stereotypes associated with being a gay Asian or Gaysian projected on me. Alright, so there's different stereotypes associated with being Gaysian within the queer community, and I guess the biggest one that comes to mind is that all Asian men are bottoms. And I'm not going to define this for any of the viewers, so if you don't know what being a bottom is, you can Google it. So within the queer community, you have the whole bottom and top dichotomy, and once again, each group has their own stereotypes associated with them. Bottom being the subservient role, possibly more feminine and docile, and top being the ones in control. Stereotypically, with an Asian white couple, you would think that the Asian is the bottom and the white person is the top. Continue on with the characteristics associated with Asian men. You'll say that they are smooth and hairless, that they'll know each other, perks of having an Asian boyfriend, that they'd be able to cook good Asian food for you. The whole idea of whether someone can have a racial preference for dating and like find certain characteristics about a racial or ethnic group attractive is another conversation. Although it's relevant to this video, I don't think I have time to discuss all of that thoroughly. Okay, through my college life in California, I had two boyfriends. One of them was full Hong Kong Chinese, and the other one was ethnically Chinese, but raised Vietnamese. Not that I've interviewed either of them on how my being mixed affected their attraction to me, but in both cases they were surprised about my chest hair and then just different expectations of the degree of how Asian I am, because I did grow up in Hong Kong, language factors, cultural factors, and a main element that comes up when you're looking at an Asian person dating someone Asian is that they have some sort of joint understanding and similar life experiences, and that is what draws them to each other. I feel like my being Hapa is something that a partner of mine would have to work through, because whether we are conscious of it or not, we still place cultural assumptions and ideas onto someone and how we interact with them. Within dating, I think it's the same. My experiences in the US with dating in regards to being Hapa, I was really mostly affected by ideas that are placed on Asian men rather than being Hapa or white. Jumping to Japan, this is where things got a bit different for me. Because within Japan, if you are not Japanese, you are foreign. So coming here and experiencing the Japanese gay clubbing scene. So here you'll have something called gaisen, and this is when a Japanese person is mostly attracted to foreigners. When they say foreigners, it's a very specific idea, and usually that means big white dude, and he'll probably be blonde, have blue eyes. So coming here, I'm not regarded as Japanese because I'm not, and I'm not exactly fitting into the model of foreigner here because I don't have fully white features. And conversely, at the same time, you'll have a lot of foreigners in Japan that are looking into having the experience of having a Japanese or Asian boyfriend. And because of the language barrier here, if you don't speak Japanese, it's very hard to date a Japanese guy. My place as being Hapa or just being Asian American and being able to communicate in English has led some people to view me or other Hapas or Asian Americans as somewhat of a bridge where we are an option of having that experience of an Asian boyfriend. In Japan, I've had one boyfriend, happened to be my first white one, and this was really new for me, it led to different dynamics and sort of not being able to rely on that mutual understanding or similar life experiences and cultural values that I did have with my previous boyfriends who all happened to be Asian. So I wouldn't say that I'm frustrated with being Hapa or that it makes dating harder, but I think it does add another element that just complicates things. Feel free to leave a comment below if you have any more questions for me or curious about more things. I will try responding. If it's something that you don't want to publicly broadcast, feel free to send me a private message on my personal channel, Raspelfy, Raspelfy, and looking forward to seeing all you again. Okay, bye.